The war would not end until the better weather enabled the Americans to bomb and strafe German positions. First starting on the 23rd of August, 1942, and officially ending on February 2nd, 1943, the Battle of Stalingrad was a massive blow to the German offensive. On July 9th, 1942, Hitler issued the command for his generals to begin their advance towards the city. Once the German forces reached the 30-mile-wide city, they were met with an entrenched defensive. The extensive battlement was the result of Stalin's issuing number 22-7. For the Russian defense not to take one step backwards. This motivation of the importance of the city to their leader pushed the Russian soldiers to fight to the end, draining not only many soldiers and supplies, but also the morale from the German offensive. The extensive use of snipers, urban guerrilla warfare, extreme defensive strategies made this year-long battle the major turning point needed for the Russian forces. D-Day was one of the most important battles in American and world history. D-Day was planned by future President Dwight Eisenhower. D-Day consisted of troops from America, Great Britain, and Canada. The goal of D-Day was to take control of the English Channel and push the Germans back into Germany. France was now under the control of Germany, so hope from France was not coming. On June 6, 1945, we landed on the beaches of Normandy. We landed on the American beaches Utah and Omaha, Gold Beach, Juno Beach, and Sword Beach. D-Day was very devastating to many people. Some troops drowned trying to get to the beach, others got shot by Germans behind the bluff. Others exploded by mines. Canada, Great Britain, and America eventually won the battle and took control of the English Channel, changing the tide of the war. The Manhattan Project was the development of the atomic bomb. Many big names were involved in the project. For example, Albert Einstein. To be exact, it was Albert Einstein who wrote a letter to Franklin Roosevelt saying the Germans were working on a new weapon of catastrophic proportions. It was in the U.S.'s best interest to start developing the weapon as well. This project was called the Manhattan Project. Tons of tests were done on the middle of the desert. The Americans developed two bombs they called Little Boy and Fat Man. The Little Boy bomb had the explosive power of 15,000 tons of TNT. The Fat Man bomb had the explosive power of 21,000 tons of TNT. The Fat Man bomb was the first bomb used plutonium. On August 6, 1945, the Little Boy bomb was dropped on Hiroshima. 3 days later, the Fat Man bomb was dropped on Nagasaki. Americans dropped the bombs on the military bases to destroy the military and get the Japanese to surrender. They dropped the bombs to save American lives because Winston Churchill said, "If you land on Japan's mainland, you'll lose at least 1 million American lives." Another reason people believed the bombs were dropped in Japan was to send a message to the Soviet Union because they were communists. The Japanese finally surrendered on August 15, 1945. The Potsdam Conference was held at Cecil Einhof from July 17th to the 2nd of August, attended by the Soviet Union's communist dictator Stalin, FDR, Harry S. Truman, and Winston Churchill, the leaders of the war forces. It was in this meeting that the fate of post-war Germany and any other Axis-occupied areas would be decided. The general premise of the meeting was to avoid further conflict, which is ironic because these agreements made at the Potsdam Conference were the cause of the Cold War. Many agreements were later forgotten and very few upheld. Many still viewed the conference as a chance at global cooperation and peace after a time of great war and sorrow. The Yalta Conference was held in Yalta in Crimea, Soviet Union. It was held from February 4th to February 11th, 1945. The Yalta Conference was between the leaders Stalin, FDR, and Churchill. The purpose of the Yalta Conference was to discuss Germany and Europe's post-war reorganization. The conference resulted in Germany and Berlin being split into sectors. The Soviet Union was not happy with their sector they got because their sector was